Steinfeld. Today I have with me Jordan Maxwell, and he is a analyst of symbolic realities, the way people have taken information and also distorted it in order to control people's minds, and have used symbols which affect our subconscious and manipulate consciousness. Really, I think really...
That's the object of symbols, is to manipulate consciousness. Yeah. That's why you have symbols, because symbols tell you something, and they speak to you. Classic examples, you drive through downtown Los Angeles and you see graffiti on the walls.
Right.
Most adults think it's just childish, destroying property. But no, those symbols mean something. And if you understand the culture that developed those symbols, they're telling you something.
Well, it's not so much to manipulate, it's more to express. The basic...
But they're also manipulating you, because now you've read it, now you understand what it's saying, now you abide by what it's saying, so it's manipulating you.
Or reacting to what and that's still a manipulation. Yeah. So is there any way to avoid...
Not in this world.
So one of the ways is to be aware of it.
Yeah, at least to be aware. So you need to educate yourself as to how symbols are used, who's doing this, and it's not necessarily bad in all cases, of course. I mean,
right.
You advertise products, you advertise the reason why that product is better than the other. It's a propaganda, but at least it's explaining something to you. The point I want to make is that you need to understand that there are very powerful organizations in this world that have lots of money and they have an agenda. And so they will put their propaganda, they pay large sums of money to professional people that know how to manipulate you.
Right.
And they know what you want to hear. Symbols are very important, and words and terms. Words are really important.
Because words are symbols of sound.
Of course. Words actually are very, very important stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd be surprised how much trouble you can get into in a court by using the wrong words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just getting back to symbols, just to clarify something, symbols in the true religious sense were there to initiate people to higher levels of consciousness.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And if you understand that, which most people don't, they take it just as literal and misinterpret, because you don't have the background or the knowledge to understand what the symbols is there for. So then you begin to take that symbol as the actual truth. I mean, the classic example, of course, is the story of Jesus. I mean, once you understand that Jesus is a metaphor, the whole concept of the New Testament is a metaphor. That's why the Bible is referred to as the greatest story ever told. It's a story.
Right.
It's not the greatest collection of facts on the earth. It's a story.
Right.
But once you understand there's a metaphor, there's an encoded story, then it begins to make sense, and now it begins to make a lot of spiritual sense. But it's a classic example of people misunderstanding symbols.
So they take the symbols, and the people in control that want to control consciousness,
they keep reinforcing the misunderstanding, keep reinforcing it by their continual television shows and harping on certain understandings.
So how do we break that down and free people to...
Education. Very simple.
The stuff you're saying?
Well, and it's not like I'm coming up with something vastly different that no one's ever heard. No, it's in a library. Go to the library and pick up a book on the origins of Christianity, the origins of religion, the origins of America. It's all there. I mean, wisdom and knowledge is everywhere if you just want to take the time to look.
No, it's the level of conditioning that people, when, some old cardinal said, give someone information as a child, and they'll believe it the rest of their life.
That's what the Jesuits said.
Yes.
Give me a child to 7 and he'll be mine forever.
That's right.
So that's true.
It's encoded in the neural nets of the brain.
That's right.
And we have to somehow get in there and wake people up. That's the problem with fundamentalism.
That's the problem with religion, government. It's everywhere. All institutions are infected with this problem. I mean, even education, universities and colleges, they have a code of knowledge, and you cannot step outside of that box. And Your mind is like a parachute. Doesn't work if it's not open.
Right.
Once you begin to open your mind and start studying and reading and getting the background on symbols and terms and words, you begin to understand that we've been manipulated from birth. We need to back up and go all the way back to day one and start re-educating yourself the way the world really works. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 48 years of study. I'm going to give you a secret.
Okay.
Nothing in this world is what you think it is. Nothing operates the way you think it does.
What do you mean?
Nothing operates the way you think it does.
What do you mean?
Government does not work the way you think it does.
It's not about people voting for a president.
No, it has nothing to do with that. We're talking money. We're talking control, corporations, big business, period.
All big business and money.
Period.
Yeah.
End of sentence. Now, religion is a corporation. It's all the religions of the Western world, especially in the Western world, all religions operate under maritime admiralty law. So there are certain...
What do you mean maritime admiralty law?
Maritime admiralty is the law of water. And I talk a lot about this in the past. I'm going to talk a lot about it in the future.
Okay.
There are only two things on the earth, on this earth, land and water.
Right.
So there are two kinds of law, the law of the land and the law of water. The law of the land is the custom of the people who live on a particular piece of land. So the law of the land is different in every country.
Right.
I mean, you can do things in Russia you can't do in America.
Right.
You can do things in South Africa you can't do in China because it's the law of the land. That particular piece of land has their own custom. So the custom of the people living on a particular piece of land is called the law of the land.
Okay, got it.
But there is also a larger, far more important law on the earth. It's called the law of the sea, the law of the water. And when you get into, and then that law is referred to in courts as maritime admiralty. Maritime admiralty is the law of water. Once you understand the law of water, it opens up a world of occult hidden symbols and hidden foundations on how we live.
What are some of those laws that we're not aware of?
Oh my goodness! When you walk into a courtroom, why do you go to court? You play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court.
Right.
Yeah. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. And so the judge walks out. He rules from the bench. Right. Look it up in a Latin dictionary. The word bench is a bank in Latin.
Oh.
And so the judge is ruling for the bank. That's why he wears a black robe, because the black robe represents the planet Saturn, the god of banking and law.
Oh.
The black robe represents the planet Saturn, who in the ancient world was called Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
Well, he is Lord of the Rings.
Right, there's ring.
And so women were told in the ancient world to listen to their god, so they would wear an ear ring. Men were to get married before their god, so they wear a wedding ring. Because Saturn was Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
And he is also the inhibitor. He was the one who holds you back. He represents government, banking, the police department, all kinds of institutions that are powerful that can hold you back. He was the inhibitor, the judge, the court, the government.
The structure in astrology.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Saturn was the inhibitor who holds you back. Well, the ancient Jews said, in Judaism, they said, because Saturn was very big in Judaism for many years, and it still is in many ways. But in the ancient Jewish tradition, they said, well, since Saturn is the inhibitor who holds you back, then when we worship him or show honor for him, which is on Saturn's day, which actually begins on Friday night.
The Sabbath, the Saturn.
Sabbath, and the very word Sabbath comes from a Phoenician word for the planet. The planet in Saturn, in the Phoenician ancient language, the Phoenician language was Shabbath, and Shabbath becomes Sabbath. So the Sabbath in the Jewish tradition is the holding back, the worship of the God who holds you back. So the ancient Jews said, good, if he's going to hold us back, we'll do nothing. We'll hang out for the whole day and do nothing, because he's going to hold you back anyway. So therefore, it was referred to as the Sabbath, which is actually Shabbath in the Phoenician language for the planet Saturn. And that's why you have the Sabbath on Saturn's day.
Wow. And all these messages are encoded into our consciousness.
And have no idea in the world where they come from. You know, let me give you an example. If you had a two-story building, and you were going to put a lot of weight on the second floor, like printing presses or whatever, The smart thing to do is go downstairs first, get on a ladder with the building inspector.
Right.
Go up through the ceiling tiles and examine the floor you're going to build on.
Right.
And see if it's going to hold that kind of weight.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're standing under the floor or the foundation you're going to build on. Okay, so that's where you get understanding. Because you're standing under.
To stand under something to see if you can take the weight.
Or
of the
no, to see what it's sitting on, see what it's based on. So that's where we get the word understanding.
To see if we can.
To see, you need to stand under a subject. Don't just buy the subject. Go back and read the words, where they came from, what they meant.
Get under the subject to see if it has
Precisely,
weight.
exactly. Go to the library, and there's one of the best sets of books in any library is called the Oxford Dictionary of the English Language. It's a huge voluminous set, and they're large volumes, and each word that has ever been used in the English language is traced back to day one. So it's like 2 or 3 pages per word.
Wow.
And it explains where these words came from, how they were developed. And you are reacting to it with your life. You're doing things every day because you think you have to. Why? Because you didn't know you don't have to. Wow. You don't have to go to court. I don't care what your criminal, what kind of a crime you committed. I don't care how big it is. You don't have to go to court.
You don't? What do you have?
No.
What if you're...
You have to you have to fill out a particular kind of form, send it to the Secretary of State, and say to the Secretary of State, I wish to settle out of court. You can settle anything out of court.
You can?
Of course. Wow. If Ford Motor Company is suing General Motors, they can settle out of court. So you won't know what they did to settle the thing because it's out of court.
Out of the water.
It's out of the water, right?
Right.
So you can settle any criminal complaint out of court. You just go through the Secretary of State and say that you want to settle this out of court.
So to sort of wrap up, is there a chance the world is going to change, that we're moving into a higher consciousness? No chance.
I don't think so. I think there are individuals like yourself and others like me and others like us who are beginning to awaken, but there is no possible chance that the human race is going to wake up and figure anything out. Because this kind of knowledge I'm talking about does not have anything to do with football or sports or
the mind
movies.
Control.
Right. So as long as the human race is interested in the Hollywood starlets or football or the silly sports or all this other silliness that goes on with entertainment, then the human family as a race on the earth are not going to be evolving upward. We're just going down. We're going further down.
What about the ETs? We're here at an alien ET conference. Are they... I mean, they exist and they've been covered up.
There's no doubt that they exist.
Are the presence of that going to make a difference with? Because it's going to change everything.
It might for you. It might for you if they look at as well as I do. If you walk into a kindergarten and you see all the children playing, they have no idea what's going on in the world. They're little children, right?
Right.
But if one of them happens to be very perceptive, and is asking you very perceptive questions, you as an adult will say, that kid's smart, right? Maybe I'll take an interest in him and find out, more about him and get him into a better school or something.
Right.
That's what obviously the alien presence on the earth is thinking. They're not going to show themselves to the human race. We shoot each other.
Right.
And so why would any higher intelligence come here and want to show themselves to us? Because we will first of all call the police on them, call the authorities and have them arrested, or we will shoot them or throw them into prison. So why would any highly intelligent advanced civilization want to mess with us at all?
Right.
That's why they stayed probably out there and watching us. That's what I would do. So.
Wow. So where does that leave us?
It leaves you in a world of trouble. If you are ignorant, ill-informed, and unread, you need to open your mind and discover for the first time that law, courts, education, it's all part of a system you need to begin to open your mind and study.
And understand and
how the world really works.
The other interesting thing is the way even gas companies use these sacred symbols of the shell, the chevron. The shell is the ancient symbol for the incarnational existence.
Yeah, the scallop shells, of course.
Whether maritime laws function in religion.
Whoa, goodness.
Everything.
The Holy See.
The Holy See.
Yeah. The seat of power is the Holy See. The sea of mankind, the holy blood. I could go into for hours on this if you want to, but I'll give you an example. Since all banking law is of course money, and money is maritime admiralty. Well, as I said, the judge sits on the bench. He rules on the bench, and the bench in Latin is a bank. Where do you find banks? You find banks on the side of a river.
Right.
Called river banks. And what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the currency. Because your currency is the cash flow, the liquid asset.
Wow.
And so money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water.
That's amazing.
It's the flow. It's the ebb and flow, the tides. Money goes out, money comes in. That's why you have income taxes. There's nothing wrong with income taxes. The way the system in America is set up, there's nothing wrong with it. They print the money, but as much money as you print, you've got to take some back in to make it valuable.
The tides.
The tide. So it goes out, it's got to come back in.
Wow.
So it's not the income tax is not there because the government needs the money. No, the government finances itself through all kinds of other ways. Income tax is to pull back in the breath, like the breath of Shiva. You put it out, and they print it out. It goes out into the world. Now you have to pull it back in to inhale. Then you exhale again, and then you pull it back in because it's the ebb and flow of commerce. It's the ebb and flow of the juice that makes it all happen. Saturn was referred to as, in the ancient world, the planet or the god Saturn was referred to as El. El, and from which we get the concept of the worship of El, of the worship of God.
The Elohim.
From Elohim.
Right.
Which, then once you are worshiping El, the concept is that you now have become an elder. Now, because you're an elder, how did you get to be an elder? You got elected.
Oh.
Yeah, and once you get elected, now you have become one of the elites because you've become elected to be one of the elites. How did you get to be elected? With electricity. Because it's the juice, the flow.
It all goes back to Saturn, you're saying.
All goes back to the planet Saturn.
Now, are all the religions sort of conspiring together to maintain this control?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's not a conscious thing. It's
No. It's just business. Like the mafia says, there's nothing personal here. It's just business. You're going to corner the market, and the Catholic Church cornered the market and was killing people who didn't buy into their system in the Middle Ages. And it's still just a business today.
But let's talk about consciousness in a sense, because it's not people. There seems like to be a force that's beyond the human realm that's manipulating.
Well, of course, when the Bible talks about the spirituality and God, and when you talk about God, I mean, that's a whole subject in itself about God as a word. That's why the teachings about God is called church dogma, because it goes back to the dog star in Egypt, Sirius the dog star. The whole concept of religion, words, terms, courts, government, financing, commerce is a massive, incredible story of how words and terms and symbols have been used for thousands of years, and 99% of the people on the face of the earth have no idea in the world how this stuff really works.
Well, it's been used to manipulate and control people.
Of course.
Because we still are seafaring people, so we're still under the law of the maritime.
Of maritime, that's right. It's just business, nothing personal. But did you know that if a policeman gives you a ticket, that ticket, a cop pulls you over and gives you a ticket. That is called a ticket in commerce. And so if you go to buy something and you don't have the money and it's too expensive, you ask me to co-sign for you. Now, if I co-sign for you to buy something and I co-sign on the ticket, that means if you don't pay it, I have to, right?
Right.
Therefore, when the cop gives you a ticket, he signs it first. It's called a ticket in commerce.
Right.
Because money is going to change hands.
Right.
Therefore, when you sign it, you are the co-signer of the ticket in commerce. Well, as a co-signer, you don't have to pay the ticket. You were just a co-signer, and you can decide, I don't think I want to pay that ticket. So then you send the ticket and the paperwork to the Secretary of State, and they then give it to the Attorney General. The Attorney General then sends it back to the cop, and the cop has to pay the ticket because he's the one that signed it first. You were just a co-signer. But as long as you don't understand this, people don't understand the way banks and commerce works.
And government.
And government and religion
and taxes. So this all together, religion, government, corporation.
It's all one big show. And if you're not licensed to play in the show, like George Carlin used to say, it's a big club and you ain't in it. But once you understand how the club really works, what the words mean.
Right.
I mean, I'll give you another example. When you buy a new car, what do you get with the new car? In the glove compartment, you get something called the operator's manual.
Right.
Because when you're in a car, you are referred to as an operator of a motorized vehicle.
Right.
You're an operator of a car. But if with those wheels, I don't care if it's a tank or a bicycle or a motorcycle or a car, it doesn't matter. If you're using those wheels to make money, now it's business. Now you're not an operator. By law, in corporate law, you are now referred to as a driver. That's why you have a bus driver, a cab driver, a truck driver, not a cab operator.
So what's the difference?
There's a world of difference because as a driver, you're now in business. You're making money with those wheels. You're not using it for personal use. You're now a driver. So now you're in business, you got to have a license. It's called a driver's license because you are now in maritime admiralty law making money. So you have to have a driver's license.
Wow.
Well, let me give you another. It just strikes me. Let me give you a quick example about the maritime law, the law of water, the law of the sea. Money is water by law. So when a ship, this is why all ships are female by law. All ships, rocket ship, sailing ship, airship, it doesn't matter. If it's a ship, it's female.
Right.
Because the captain always refers to his ship as she.
Right.
She's a good ship, or she's done this. Why she? Because she delivers the product.
Right. The
Without
vessel.
she, there is no product, right?
It's a vessel. It's a whole,
Of course it is a vessel. So is your body. It's a vessel that produces a product.
Right.
So when the ship pulls into harbor, it stops, and where it parks is called its berth. It's berthing a ship, or she sits in her berth. And every item on that ship, coming out that ship, is money. It's money changing hands.
Right.
It came in on water. So it's called. So every piece has to have what is called a certificate of manifest, because she is sitting in her berth. That's why when you were born,
I had a birth certificate.
your mother's water broke. You were inside a container of water. Her water broke, and you came out, and therefore you have to have a birth certificate.
Wow.
And it's got to be signed by the dock, because that's where the ship is sitting. The dock is where the ship sits.
It's funny.
So once you begin to see how the words and terms are all based on maritime admiralty, the law of water, the cash flow, the liquid asset.
But is that just in English, the dock, the water?
Yeah, of course. But of course, it goes all the way back to the English or British domination of the seas.
Oh.
And so when the British began to dominate the seas, the Knights Templar Masonic Order of the Knights Templars, who have been in the middle of Asia, came back into Western Eastern Europe, brought all of these concepts, and it was developed into a commercial system of words and terms and symbols which are used in courts and government and corporations. You know, your body is a corporation. No, that's a whole story. We could talk for hours on this, but your body is a corporation.
Of cells, you mean?
No. It's called, and by law, your body, your physical body is a corporation. And so when you die, you're a corpse. Because when you're living, you're a corporation. You are a business. And hanging out with that person is bad business.
Right.
Or who I hang out with is none of your business.
Right.
Because your body is a business.
Wow.
And so you say, well, what you're doing with her or him is bad business.
Right.
But of course, if you get married and she's very wealthy, you say she's of good stock. Right? Words and terms are based on maritime admiralty, the law of water. And so that's why when you go into a court, you have a fence and a gate. The people sit out here and the judge sits inside. The gate is called a floodgate. When you go through the canal, you have a floodgate.
Right.
So when you're sitting out here, you're in the law of the land. The judge has no control or no jurisdiction over the people sitting out here. No jurisdiction whatsoever.
Right, because they're outside the gate.
That's outside the gate.
Right, right.
That's on land.
Right.
But when you walk past that gate, now you're in hot water. And someone's going to have to bail you out.
Bail, yeah.
Okay.
Bail. That's so. Did you write a book about all these men?
No. I've just been studying it for 48 years.
Wow.
But it's fascinating because when you understand that the whole subject is so large and it would take hours and I'd have to go back to square one and walk through all the words and terms that are used in law and courts and in commerce.
Yeah.
For you to understand how pervasive this concept of water is on the earth.
Wow.
The law of water, maritime admiralty, it's an extraordinary story about how governments rule the world. And unless you understand this, you're never going to figure out what's going on. Look at it. When you walk into a courtroom and they call your name, you get up and you put your hand on the gate and you open the gate. The moment you put your hand on the gate, by international law, you of your own volition have opened yourself up to maritime admiralty law, because you were on the law of the land. As long as you don't touch that gate and go through it, you haven't opened the floodgate. Now, once you open the floodgate, there's a piece of wood on top of that gate, and it's called the bar, and you're not licensed to pass the bar. Right. So what you've done is you've opened the floodgate, but you weren't licensed to pass the bar.
So what does that mean?
So that means that you are dead. You are now dead. Once you touch that, you are dead.
Because you're no longer in control of
That's right. You are dead. Well, you're considered to be a dead man. That's why the attorney has to speak for you. He has to represent you.
Why are you dead? Because
you went into the deep water and you died. You drowned.
Because you weren't licensed. Because you weren't.
Right. You were not licensed to pass the bar. And the bar represents a sandbar in the ocean. But the bar is what the attorneys are licensed to pass, but you're not. So the point being is that when you open that gate of your own volition, you are considered by law to be a dead man.
Really?
That's why you cannot talk to the judge, because dead people don't talk to judges. So you need an attorney who is your mouthpiece. He speaks for you because you're dead.
Well, should we do away with courts so people can get their lives back?
I would think that what you want to do is understand how the system works.
Oh, and avoid it.
Avoid it if you can.
Do you have a big plan?
Yes, I got a big plan. I'm going to be leaving the world soon.
Before you leave.
Okay.
Before you leave.
That's my big plan.
No, because you're doing valuable work. Do you have a plan of how we could make civilization better, more humane?
Yes. Education. Quite simply, read and study and turn off the television, turn off all the silly nonsense of government. And it's just incredible nonsense. And start educating yourself. The United States federal government is a privately owned company. It's a corporation.
The whole government.
Of course. It's like General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Sears. It's a privately owned, but see, most people don't understand. The United States government is a corporation. It is a privately owned company.
Who owns it?
Oh, well, that's different. Now you're getting now.
I'm asking the right
now you're asking the right question.
Right.
So there's a world of difference between the United States and the word United States of America.
Oh, really?
United States of America is a republic. It's based on the bringing together of 48 separate countries. Each state in this union is a separate country.
Okay.
And so you're crossing over from California to Nevada is like crossing over from France to Spain.
Right.
And so you can't do things in Nevada you can do in California. So you can't do things in New York that you can do in Florida.
The United States is the recognition of separate countries, but the United States of America means...
Those are United States. So, but each one's a state. Like the state of Virginia is like the state of Israel.
Right.
It's a country. It's referred to as a state.
And
As a matter of fact, you know, there's a world of difference between. There's a world of difference in words in law. I mean, when you go to court, there's a very big difference between a trial by jury or a jury trial. Doesn't mean the same thing. There's a very big difference between California state and the state of California. Doesn't mean the same thing.
It doesn't?
No, no.
Like, what's the difference there?
Cal State is the state. We call California. That's the state. But state of California is different. That has nothing to do with California. That's the federal government operating within the confines of the state of California. So anytime you see the state of, that means it's a federal corporation operating within California. But California is called Cal State. That's why you have California State University, California State this, and California State. That's California. But state of California is the federal government.
Do people know that? Do
No.
lawyers know this?
No. People don't know any of this. None of this. Nobody, because it doesn't have anything to do with football. So who the hell needs to know about any of this stuff? I need to know because I don't like being played for a fool.
Yeah.
I want to know who's running this country.
You don't want to be manipulated.
I refuse to be manipulated. I want to know exactly who's doing what. I want to know how they're doing it and how are they messing with my mind and my money and my family. So I want to know. 99% of people I run into, they couldn't care less as long as the beer's cold and football's on. They don't care.
But when people vote for like a president, what is happening?
You go to the polls. What is a poll? I mean, a poll is when you take a consensus of the people. Which one of these fruitcakes do you want to bow down to and give your money to? Do you want this group all here, or that airhead here, or this ding-a-ling over here?
Right.
We just want to know the basic concepts. Which one do you people like?
It obviously doesn't seem to matter.
They all work for me, so it doesn't matter. But to make you people happy, would you rather have a woman over here? Would you rather have a black guy? Or would you rather have this old white man? Which one would you like?
Nothing changes. You mean Obama says...
It doesn't matter, because I own them all anyway.
Right.
It's just business. Come on, this is a mob.
Well, who is the mob?
We're talking the mafia here. We're talking the underworld.
Who are these people? You know, the Illuminati, the...
Just business, nothing personal. Don't take this personal.
But there's someone behind it. That's...
Oh, you bet there is.
Yeah.
But they're in Europe.
They are.
Yeah. If you want to trace all of this that I've been talking about, you want to trace back all the wars and bloodshed and all the corruption going on around the world. People talk about the Jewish conspiracy, the Jews this and the Jews. No.
It's not.
I know. It's like everything else. It's just a front.
Right.
You want to go back to the people who are really doing this stuff all around the world to us? The Vatican. But you can bet on it. Really? That's why Hollywood is making movies like Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, and they're talking about the Vatican and all the occult stuff. Let me tell you something. Rome has been ruling Europe for almost 2,300 years. The Vatican has been ruling Europe for at least 1,600 years. All of the royalty and celebrities and royalty of Europe are royalty. They rule by divine right, right? Well, where do you get the divine right from? You get it from the Holy Father. God didn't give you any divine right. Nobody's talked to God lately. You don't need to talk to God. The Vatican will decide if you are one of their boys. And if you're one of their boys, the Pope will then, bless you. Like they did Michael Corleone and the Godfather 3 and with the sword and all that kind of thing. And now you are divinely appointed. By who? By the Pope. The people at the Vatican. And the Vatican represents a very powerful secret society that's been in operation in the Roman Empire long before the Vatican ever existed. It's referred to as a Sun Order. S-U-N, the Sun Order.
Going back to Egypt.
That's right? Going back to Egypt, absolutely.
Right.
And so the sun was always represented as an eagle. The eagle always represented the sun.
The Horus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The hawk or the eagle.
Yeah.
Now, eagles only have two wings, left wing and right wing. So that's why you always have a division between the left wing and right wing in politics and religion, because you need 2 feet.
Yeah.
You need to walk through this world on 2 feet.
Yeah.
So that's just a beginning. Yeah. We could talk about all this later.
Thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate it. I've been talking to Jordan Maxwell. Brilliant piece of information. Thank you for watching. Thank you, and see you next time.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one right here on this channel. Thank you for watching.